Radio Vet is on the air on CPL Radio, our premier, our preeminent, our towering show about the little critters in our life, and sometimes the very large critters in our life.
Right.
So Dr. Kelly is here, and thank you for coming by again to educate us.
You are welcome.
Make us better pet owners.
Yes, on this snowy Halloween.
What in the... we're recording this on, on the day when it's an inexplicable... It was all trick, no treat today, that's for sure. So anyway, what have you brought for us today?
Today, I would like to talk about the fungus among us.
You would.
Yes.
Well, what specific fungi are we talking about?
We have some common... more topical fungal infections, mainly in our dogs, but we also have some serious systemic ones in dogs and cats that we can find right here in Wisconsin.
Oh, good.
So I thought I would talk about those. So something that's interesting about fungal species in general is that when they are in the environment, they are in their fungal phase or form, and they produce spores, infective spores.
Absolutely.
Once they get into a living body and are incubated at body temperature, they turn into their yeast phase. So you may not have realized that fungus and yeast are really two different forms of the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Just manifesting itself, ready to make bread. Wrong yeast.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was something new to me in veterinary school. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, that's first time hearing of this.
Yeah.
Where have I been all this time?
So probably the most common fungal infection we see every single day in small animal veterinary practice are yeast infections in dog ears.
Oof.
So especially dogs with the flop over kind of ears that don't stand up straight and have airflow through them regularly.
Sure.
When these dogs bathe and maybe get some water, some extra moisture down in their long ear canals.
Right.
Maybe several days to a week later, some of them get yeast infections in their ears. The other common predisposing factor for yeast infections in dog ears would be allergies. Dogs who have hay fever or environmental or food allergies get very itchy ears, and when the ear skin is inflamed, the environment of the ear is altered, and yeast can take advantage of that.
No good.
So allergic dogs and dogs who've recently had baths are the ones who commonly come in with yeast infections.
Overly clean or overly allergic?
Yeah.
One or the other.
So that's the most common, but more serious fungal infections from the environment. A big one, the biggest one in our pet cats, the most common fungal infection is called cryptococcosis, or crypto for short.
Yuck.
There's over 37 species. It exists worldwide, but where it really likes to exist most commonly is in old pigeon poop.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So pigeon coops, places where pigeons congregate and have droppings that sit around for a long time. That's where you're going to find crypto.
And it will port its way over to cats because cats like birds?
Yeah, so cats who are outdoors, hunting for their lunch, may frequent places where the pigeons congregate, especially if they get fed like at a park or something.
Absolutely.
The way that these spores get from the pigeon poop into the cat or dog would mainly be by inhalation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can also occur by having some kind of penetrating wound, and so it can be injected into the skin by stepping on a thorn or something like that as well.
Now, if you have a cat with this, what can you expect? What kind of enjoyable
symptoms? Yeah. So in general, fungal infections are slow to produce symptoms. This one, crypto takes 2 to over 13 months to incubate before you get symptoms.
Amazing.
It's a slow growing.
Wow.
Fungi are very slow growing compared to bacteria.
The creeping crud.
Very slow. Anyway, they produce just these general non-specific signs like fever that goes up and down, appetite, weight that's bad, weight loss. But most produce lung or nasal symptoms in cats. So chronic nasal drainage, sneezing, respiratory things, in other words.
I'm so grateful to have an indoor cat.
Well, that's a good,
Did I segue
thing
by
to
accident?
bring up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
The king of the segue.
a different fungal infection.
Maybe I'm not so glad. Okay.
A different fungal infection that also affects both dogs and cats called histoplasmosis. 38% occur in strictly indoor cats. Because this stuff is in the air. Crypto, for example, it doesn't just live in old pigeon poop. It also likes decaying wood, freshwater, seawater, tree bark, and this one makes me laugh, air.
Oh, lovely. Well, not much we can do about that whole oxygen thing anytime
so when you
soon.
open and close your doors and fresh air gets inside, sometimes fungal spores blow in.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Well, it's not fair. You spend a lot of money at our houses, and we don't want all that crypto flying in the door, you know?
Exactly. So cats are 10 times more susceptible to crypto than dogs. Most of them get respiratory infections. Maybe half of them get skin infections on the face, ears, or paws. There's some beautiful pictures of cats who have the skin on their nose affected. They have these Rudolph-looking noses. Oh, the infection right under the skin on the bridge of the nose, making the bridge of the nose or the tip swell up profusely. Oh, it's ridiculous looking.
Yeah.
16 to 40, this is a wide range, percent will involve the central nervous system. That's bad.
Yeah, that sounds problematic. Absolutely.
Dogs who catch this one only have a 20 to 30% treatment success, so pretty bad for them.
Easy to diagnose?
Most of these fungal infections, initially they look like more common things like bacterial infections, like respiratory. And so the diagnosis is often a multi-step of eventually we get there kind of situation. But surprisingly, the best tests are testing for the presence of the fungus in urine.
Okay.
Those are the most accurate.
So,
yeah. Right. So, yeah, there are good diagnostic tests.
That's
but
good.
You're not always suspicious of the right thing at first.
Right. You don't think about that air carried fungi making its way in the door.
Exactly. The one I briefly mentioned, histoplasmosis, affects, again, cats a little bit more than dogs. This one typically is in the river valleys of the Ohio, Mississippi, and Missouri rivers.
Oh, interesting.
Also likes bird, but also bat droppings. So
boy.
Caves
Could
are
be
a
anywhere.
good place to get it. Caves, chicken coops, farms. Again, the spores are in the environment. They're inhaled. Usually starts in the lungs, but can affect the GI tract, especially in dogs.
Oh, boy.
Liver and spleen can get involved. Treatment for all of these fungal infections is quite long and drawn out.
Oh,
for this one, it's
really?
over 6 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. Dogs have a fair to good prognosis if only their lungs are infected, but pretty poor if their GI tract is infected.
Really?
Cats, fair to good. And this is the one where 38% of the cats who were diagnosed were strictly indoor. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Have you seen much of this over in Mequon there? I mean,
not those two. I do remember seeing cryptococcosis in the eye of a Cocker Spaniel in school came in with acute glaucoma, and it turned out to be cryptococcosis.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is a different fungus in Wisconsin that's far more common that I will talk about, but that one is that one some of the listeners have probably heard of, especially people that go up north.
Well, we're going to unveil that fungus right after this message. When we come back, more fun with fungi. Hey, that was fun to say. All right. You give me all kinds of opportunities for bad puns today. All right. Here we go. Radio Vet back on the air with Dr. Kelly, where we put the fun back in fungus. Hey, it gave me a chance to do that. So anyway, you got another one for us. We're back from the break.
One more big one. This is the big one in our state. This is a fungus that is endemic in the Great Lakes area as well as a few other places around the U.S. It is good old Blastomyces dermatitidis, or Blasto for short. Yes.
Sounds like the worst of the bunch.
It's the worst.
Name like that.
This we do see here, especially in dogs who go with their owners up north to a cabin where there are many little lakes because it loves to live in the soil around lakes.
Oh, boy.
The majority of humans and pets who are infected with this live within a quarter mile of a lake.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes. So there's, let's see, the fungal or spore form in the environment, the yeast form once it gets into the body, just like all these others. And while these infections can affect both people and pets, they're not zoonotic, meaning you don't catch them from your pet who has it. You catch it from the same environment where they caught it.
Hanging around the same lake, you're going to get the same Blasto.
Inhaling the same stuff from the soil.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and that is probably why dogs who tend to get all of these fungal infections are young, large breed, more male than female, pointers, hounds, dogs whose noses are to the ground.
They like to get in get in there.
Dig and ruffle up stuff into the air. Exactly. So Blasto most commonly gets in the lungs. 95% of dogs with Blasto have abnormal chest x-rays, even if they don't have respiratory signs. So respiratory signs are a big group of symptoms.
Sure.
But another way that it's sometimes found is with a chronic skin wound that weeps and just won't heal. So it can be in the skin because either it was injected through a little minor wound and it's just in the skin right there at the moment. But it can spread either through the blood or through the lymphatic system to places like the lungs, the eyes, the lymph nodes, the central nervous system. Bone is another big place to find it. Yeah.
That sounds like an ugly place to find it.
I have a patient right now who has a chronic Blasto in a toe bone.
Oh my!
She was diagnosed originally over a year ago, and treated successfully. Her treatment was 3 to 4 months, which is typical. Wow. She tested negative when the treatment was over. 9 to 12 months later, she has it again, same spot, because it never really went away.
Oh,
now she's in treatment for 6 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
when we say treatment for 6 months, what does that entail? What are we talking about here?
She's taking an antifungal twice a day, every day, orally.
A capsule of some sort, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
The owner gets to somehow shove. I mean, again, wrap it in peanut butter or whatever.
Right.
Or wrap it in meat.
Yes. Yes. And this is a dog who goes up to a cabin.
Up to a cabin.
Up north.
Up north dogs.
And it showed up in a toe bone because she probably stepped on something.
Yeah, sure,
exactly.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
we're very grateful that it's not in her lungs because that's more serious.
Absolutely.
Most dogs who survive, many dogs, I shouldn't say most, but many dogs who survive Blasto lose an eye to it.
Really?
Yeah, because it loves to go to the eye. It causes uveitis. It causes glaucoma. It causes blindness. It serves as a hiding place for it.
So if that dog with the Blasto in the toe scratches herself, will it then spread to parts that she's scratching if she cuts herself open?
No,
with that?
not that way. No, it can only, once it's inside like her bone like it is, it can only spread via the blood to other places or the lymphatic system, lymph node system.
Sure. And would if kept untreated, correct?
Yes, it would. And it would. Yeah. And so she was diagnosed because she was limping.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And, we took an x-ray and, there's a spot in her bone where the bone structure is altered and there's some proliferative changes around it, meaning the bone looks like it's being eaten away, but then the surrounding area looks like there's new bone forming.
Oh, my.
So it's a lytic proliferative lesion that looks very, very similar to our most common kind of bone tumor, an osteosarcoma.
Okay.
So it really takes a biopsy to tell the difference. In the old days, now we have this great urine test for Blasto.
Right,
so we can
Much
do that
easier,
now rather than getting a chunk of bone. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, always so.
But the treatment, when cats catch it, the prognosis is bad. When dogs catch it, it really depends on where it is, how successful treatment is. If it gets into their central nervous system, not so great.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
Not so great.
No treatment? There's
the treatment's the same. It's whether or not they'll do okay and go on
pretty
and
aggressive.
Truly get rid of it.
Yeah.
So up to 48% of dogs get eye involvement,
Sure.
and a large number of them will lose an eye in the long run, and that will be healed.
Yeah.
They will be cured, but they'll only have one eye.
Right. Has this toe patient exhibited any eye
No,
things yet?
thankfully.
Good,
It's been limited to bone in her case both times. So she had her initial infection, and then she didn't get a new infection. She had a relapse.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
a relapse.
Boy.
Yeah. Let's
Insidious
see.
stuff.
I know. So Blasto has a 5 to 12 week incubation period. That's lightning fast for a fungal infection.
Sure.
Dogs are treated for 2 to 6 months. 18 to 22% have a relapse.
Wow.
So she was one of that
in
in
that,
the 18 to
bracket,
22%. Exactly. Cats, when they catch it, 41% get it in the central nervous system, which is why it's a much worse prognosis for our kitties.
It's got to be, well, I don't know, say rarer for a cat to get it?
Yes, thankfully.
Because they don't snoof around as much as dogs do.
Yeah.
Especially they hate water, by and large. So,
right.
Okay. So that helped.
Yeah. So it's a combination of lifestyle and bad luck.
It's
just like a lot of things
it
are.
always described my my MO.
Yeah. I had one patient years ago a dog who actually did lose an eye to it, but she also had it in her brain.
Oh.
She was cured. She healed. She made it.
Wow.
But she had severe separation anxiety from then on.
Really?
And I do think
It's like a brain
really suspect it was
alteration of some
related.
sort. Yeah.
I really suspect that there was some relation there. Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's like humans now. You hear in a lot in Texas where you have warm water laying there, and we get those crazy, what do they call it, like brain-eating algae or whatever.
Oh, amoeba.
Yeah. That's just. You hear that, you think it's like a horror movie.
I know. We walk around blissfully unaware.
Unless you listen to the radio vet with Dr. Kelly.
How many microscopic things are right on us and
just
in us and around
us
all the time, and that our immune system protects us from. Yeah. And that just dumb luck too.
Right. That's exactly what it is. You hear, I remember seeing the article about the most recent victim of that brain-eating amoeba. They're saying, well, what can we do to avoid that? And they're like, I have nothing. I have nothing for you.
Never have fun.
Never have fun. Exactly. What can you do?
Live in a bubble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working on that myself right now. But that's just me.
I also brought some just kind of general fun facts
to
finish up with because the fungi are kind of not that fun.
From funky to fun. That's what we do here at the radio show.
So people, dogs, cats, and almost all mammals, our neck bones are made up of 7 vertebrae. We have 7 cervical or neck.
Across the board.
Neck vertebrae.
Okay.
Manatees only have 6, and there's one kind of sloth that has 9.
Wow.
Okay. Giraffes.
Yeah.
How many would you think they have?
I'm going to probably double digit that bunch. We're going to go up to like 13, 15, something like that.
They have 7.
They have 7 as well.
Just like all the other
just
mammals.
Spaced differently.
Not spaced differently,
no?
just longer.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Let me ask you that. Okay, as a person who's been through the entire veterinary schooling, have you ever treated an animal as exotic as a giraffe? Have you ever been in the same?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
As a student,
yes.
As a 4th-year student, I did a 2-week internship at the Milwaukee County Zoo.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you treat during that 2-week period?
Oh, let's see. We had to do, surgery on a broken bat wing. And
wow, how'd that go?
I think it went well.
Good.
We had an intestinal surgery on a wombat.
Oh,
and we had lots and lots of blood draws on birds who were coming inland going into quarantine.
Okay.
We had to do a nail trim on a grizzly bear.
I was just going to ask, anything lethal? Anything?
That was fun.
I'm assuming that some sort of
drugs.
drugs were involved, for all of you, not just the grizzly.
It was relatively quick, interesting procedure. The bear is used to having his little paper Dixie cup of honey passed to him through the bars, which he completely consumes all of, falls asleep.
Very good.
We go in. Someone has a bolt cutter because that's what his nails are trimmed with.
Oh, jeez.
And unfortunately, this is the scary part. Someone has a shotgun against his skull the whole time.
Really?
Or a high-powered rifle, I should say.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That's pretty fascinating.
Because bears, when they are waking up from anesthesia,
yeah, they
don't move until they're ready to stand.
Oh, so you just don't know.
So if they move, that's it. We're done.
The entire second year veterinary class was devoured today by mauled today. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was probably the most memorable procedure.
That's great. Wow, I would imagine so.
Other little things. Dogs do not have collarbones.
But they have collars.
Cats do have collarbones, but they're not connected to any other bone. They're just
free
floating.
That's weird.
And that's so that they can squish in narrow spaces.
That's so cat-like.
Yes.
Just have weird bones.
Guinea pigs, humans, and other primates are the only ones who can get scurvy, a low, too low vitamin C.
That is true.
Everybody else makes their own vitamin C. People, primates, and guinea pigs have to eat it, and we're the only ones.
Back in our guinea pig days, we had 4. We used to have, they gave us vitamin C drops that we used to have to put in their water, and we did that sort of on and off.
Well, and if you feed them guinea pig pellets and you're careful not to accidentally buy rabbit pellets, which look the same.
Right.
They're supposed to have vitamin C in the pellets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we are.
And the last very fun fact.
Here it comes, folks.
Wombats are an Australian marsupial.
Yes.
And they are bigger than I thought. They're like 44 to 60 pounds. They look like bears. They burrow.
Yeah.
They are a prey species for the Tasmanian devil and the wild dogs, the dingoes that they have over there.
We all got to eat.
And they have very slow digestion. So dogs and cats, when they eat a meal, the waste is coming out 24 hours later.
Yep.
When wombats eat, it's 14 to 18 days.
Days?
And it's so dried out and compacted that they poop cubes.
Wow, that's very, very. That's just great because it's so efficient. I like that. So now that it's sitting in there for 14 days, are they getting extra nutrients then? Are they, or is it just this is just languishing?
Well, it's drying out and becoming square.
Becoming square, which is that's nice because you could build things with that. You could actually make a wombat house. Only I would.
I don't know.
There.
That doesn't sound efficient. That sounds
problematic and
gross.
Yeah,
slow, really slow.
What's taking the house so long? Well, we get 1 brick every 14 days. That's what we do here at the Radio Vet Radio Show. Good stuff. Well, thank you. I was going to ask about guinea pigs because I'm fascinated by them. Do you see a lot of them in your practice?
Not a lot. Maybe one out of every 100 or so. 150 pets is a guinea pig. I do like them a lot.
They're really great.
It was my
animals.
first pet.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of treatment do you have to do for them then? And do people bring them to put them down, like when they're maybe suffering?
Occasionally, yes. Although prey species, including guinea pigs and rabbits and hamsters and whatnot, they tend to die unexpectedly and suddenly.
They check out on their own.
You don't often wind up having to bring them in. It's more of a surprise.
Right.
But they get some common things. They get respiratory infections. Yes. They get malalignment of teeth that then have to be trimmed regularly.
Sure. Yeah.
They get some common external parasites when you open a new bag of bedding and you have more bad luck. Or heart failure.
Heart failure?
Yes. Guinea pigs. I've had one guinea pig who did very well taking some good medication for heart failure.
Wow.
Lived an extra year and a half,
which
is a big chunk of a guinea pig's life.
Huge part. And you have to have a little guinea pig defibrillator in the corner. That's no fun. So there we are. All right. Well, thank you for all the wonderful information today, Dr. Kelly. That's always a fun episode that we do here on CPL Radio. It's the Radio Vet. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.